got into real estate because my previous job, I didn't get paid for a couple months, and I was already flipping houses and doing that. And so decided next move was to get licensed.
You got multiple streams of income. You are building multiple business. You're doing flips. You got the candy stores. You got the brokerage, right? You're selling. You got multiple things going on, and you still love life and spend time with your family and your kids, everything else. Like, you figured some shit out that other people have not.
I fully believe that at least where my business is, and I think a lot of y'all's is, you have to be consistently present in whatever your sphere is and be the go-to person for real estate or whatever you're doing.
So today we're thrilled to welcome Tyler Kreis, an exceptional leader in the real estate industry and the driving force behind TK Realty. As a designated broker and owner, Tyler has built a remarkable career defined as innovation, passion, and relentless commitment to excellence. He was recognized as top realtor in Fort Worth magazine 3 consecutive years. I actually fact-checked that. I was like, something's not right with that. But it was 3 years. And a real producer honoree, Tyler has proven his ability to thrive in a competitive market. In 2023, he was named 40 under 40 in Metro Tex, which is pretty much its own damn state by this point.
Yes,
and
absolutely.
By showcasing his influence, leadership within the real estate community. Currently serving as the Metro Tex YPN chair, 40 under 40 in YPN chair. It's kind of like a little bit of odds there. You're getting a little too old for that. Professional Development Advisory Group. Tyler is committed to advancing professionalism and inspiring growth in the industry. Beyond the accolades, Tyler's strategic insights and mentorship have set him apart as a visionary leader. Join us as we dive into his journey, learn from his expertise, gain valuable advice, and navigating an ever-evolving world of real estate. Also known as the Sasquatch Man, coming to you, Tyler Kreis.
That was excellent. The Sasquatch Man, that's a new one. The other week, I was on one of these, and I was called the King of Confection. So either or, I like it.
That's awesome. Yeah, so for those of y'all don't, because it is Sasquatch, right? Isn't that the name of your candy store?
Yeah, it's Sasquatch's Candy Den.
Yeah, getting ready to open up your second location, right?
Yeah, we're
It's open.
We had a ribbon cutting last Friday with Weatherford Chambers, so
nice.
We're excited to be there.
Yeah. All right, let's get to it. Now, we all know each other decently well. I kind of know Wayne, claim him in public, not too often. But yeah, let's take a brief trip down memory lane. Sorry, Wayne, I apologize. We're friends-ish, I guess we should say.
Sure, yeah.
So let's talk about TK Group. Let's go down memory lane a little bit and tell us about your real estate journey.
Yeah, so do you want me to start from when I actually first got licensed and then kind of walk it all the way to when I decided to go crazy and become a broker?
Wayne has an idea. I can see it on his face. What is it, Wayne? No.
Yeah, no, I mean, 2 seconds on how you got into real estate, and then I would love to learn more about why you decided to go into brokerage.
Yeah, so got into real estate because my previous job, I didn't get paid for a couple months, and I was already flipping houses and doing that. And so decided next move was to get licensed. In Texas, you have to be licensed for a minimum of 4 years, have some sales production numbers, and pass a test to become a broker. So that was my motive once I got my real estate license. Year 4, I was going to become a broker. Didn't know that I was going to open up a brokerage. But, after doing it for so long, and talking and surrounding myself with some other independent brokers, I was like, hey, I'm going to do it. I didn't want to build a team necessarily while I was at a brokerage. I wanted a little bit more control, wanted to build a brand, and was up for the challenge. And so I just started interviewing a lot of just different individual brokers or people who were where I wanted to be. One thing they all had in common, they all had a coach. And so then that led me on a path to where I found Wayne, and through Wayne, I found you. And really if you want to go the easiest route, you have to surround yourself with people who've been there, done that, and who are willing to share. But fortunately, I think most people who are at the independent brokerage level or even a really large team, they want to share. They want to tell their struggles and their wins. So that's what I found really, really rewarding about going this route is everybody's opened their doors and was like, all right, buckle up, because it's not going to be that pretty most of the time.
Yeah, no doubt.
So what do you think sets you apart? How many agents do you have right now at the brokerage?
So right now we have 13 agents, including...
And what do you think sets you apart? They throw a rock and hit 3 brokerages. What do you think sets you apart from everybody else right now?
I mean, I think we have a lot of good agents in Dallas-Fort Worth. I would say one thing that sets our agents apart is we unequivocally always put our clients first. It's not, hey, we're going to put the money in front of our clients. Obviously, we're 100% commission, and so
Bullshit.
it is
Bullshit.
hard.
You're not. I'm calling that one out. You're not 100%.
Okay.
Don't do that. Don't do that to us. Do not do that to
Okay.
us. What is your
Don't do
model?
it to us.
We're coming back to your model in a second. I'm not letting that one slide.
Okay.
Keep going. Client focus.
But no, I just think we do 100% hands down serve our clients at a really high level by always putting.
But why do people join you? Like, why do the agents join your brokerage? Like, why do you think that actually is?
That's a question you and I've been working on for a year. But no, I think we have a really good culture. We have a lot of younger families that are in our brokerage who are all agents. I'd say 90% of our agents have kids and families, and they're looking for, hey, how can I have a real estate business and a lifestyle? And they're coming to me to say, hey, how can I improve the real estate and then also get into other passive businesses so that they can have other income.
So I think really that's it at the end of the day, right? They're with you because of what you represent and what you help them get. You know what I mean? Like, if we're going to get really down to it, like, you represent, you got multiple streams of income. You are building multiple business. You're doing flips. You got the candy stores. You got the brokerage, right? You're selling. You got multiple things going on, and you still love life and spend time with your family and your kids and everything else. Like, you figured some shit out that other people have not or want to figure out or on the journey. And I think at the end of the day, like, brokerages get so lost, like they're splits and they're this and the other. And at the end of the day, it's like Tyler gives a rip and he'll help me get where I want to go. Like if we're gonna really boil it down, like I think that's what it is. You know what I mean? When you look at all the other models, all this, like that's a big part of it. So, and you telling that story, like, hey, look at this person that did this. Look at me who was able to get blank and blank. That's the shit at the end of the day that I think people really that they don't really take into account.
I would agree. And the more that I've been in this, the more I realize if you're competing on just a compensation plan level, and that's where all the conversations are when I am recruiting or people come to me, it leads to nowhere. I found my best agents are ones who have came to me and they're like, hey, I see what you're doing. You're traveling. You've got multiple streams. Show me how to do that. Then here's a comp plan. And it took me a long time to really notice. If I just tried to compete and talk about compensation plan, there's a million of them, and they range from. The range is all over the place. And so I've kind of over the past few months just kind of put the focus on finding the people who actually want to come 100%. In and build up to something else. So that's where I've been trying to focus here in the last few months.
And I agree with you. Attraction produces the best agents. So for people that are listening, maybe team leads or whatever, that have to, part of their business model is attraction or having agents. How have you felt like you've done that in a systematic way that somebody could replicate? Because yeah, you could have 100 coffees in 100 days, but you're going to be dealing with 100 idiots at the same time. So what have you felt like has done well for you?
We're talking about my dating life again, Brad. You said you were going to leave that to the side.
No, before you got on here though, I
got one Thursday in the next 6 months to go on a date. So like, I'm pretty picky about who gets that Thursday.
No, you're not.
So I wouldn't say that I'm at a level to where I'd say my recruiting process is systematic enough to say, hey, go replicate and you can do this. Because I've thrown a lot of things on the wall to see what would stick. I've tried, hey, I'm going to go into the real estate school in our area and go pay for lunches and do this. And it's led to some conversations. Yeah, there's that. I've had the coffees. I've done the metrics on the broker view and the market view broker stuff. And it's fine, but I'm finding the best intentional conversations that I have are coming from my title partners and my lenders who are working with the biggest scope of agents.
Yeah.
And hearing just me telling them, hey, this is who I'm looking for.
Right.
And as they know these people and they know their struggles, then they're like, hey, you've got to call Tyler. And those have hands down been the best agents who I brought on.
Yeah, no, that's a great point. And I think a lot of people overlook that. And I've had some success, not to say I stole your idea, but like I've called vendors in the past and say, here's who I'm looking for. Who's who I want to talk to. Who do you know? Or if you hear somebody coming in whining about their company, not that I want whiners, but like if you think it's a legitimate concern and they're getting a little rubbed raw where they're at, like let me know. I won't bring your name up. And I've done that several times. I have not brought in vendors' names on purpose so they don't lose business from other companies. But it is. They're great because they know you, they know them, and they're like, this could work.
Well, and surprise, surprise, lenders and title hear all the complaints about us brokers
For sure.
and other agents. That's like, that is where the gossip mill is. And so if you can kind of tap into that and tell them what your ideal client is, I found it naturally brings the ones who you have the highest retention with.
So do you think part of being like the top realtor in Fort Worth for 3 years, right? Fort Worth Magazine, excuse me, for 3 years and all those things, 40 under 40, do you think those things have helped you obviously like get your name out there to attract people?
I think it gets you easier to have the conversation with some people. I will tell you, my client base and like my buddies that I've grown up with could care. They don't care at all. But I do think when you're in the room, when you are in those rooms, it does naturally attract people because they're like, okay, he's been there, done that. And so I do think that that helps them listen to when I'm telling them something that they may not like to hear or just a completely different approach.
Yeah. No, I get that a
Well,
lot.
I think our approach with Tyler has really been three things, right? It's been put his name up in lights. And what I mean by that is like he's taking advantage of opportunities like get on stage or be a part of a panel or whatever. So like it's been three things. Like one, get your name up in lights. Two, shake hands. And the second thing has been like go to networking events, go to some of the classes, go to the things and legitimately shake hands. And then three, he's done a great job of like serving. So like volunteering on the board, volunteering here, being part of the YPN, all that kind of stuff. So name up in light, shake hands, and serve has been really, really huge for him. And then on the social media side, like just sharing all of that, sharing what he's doing, sharing the wins of his clients, sharing the wins of his agents. And it's been a really grassroots in a sense effort that's worked really well. And it hasn't been a whole lot of cold calling or sitting behind a desk or trying to have some perfect funnel. It's been getting out.
Yeah, and it is getting out there. When I hired Wayne, and when I went to the broker route, I'm not gonna lie, when I was an agent, I wanted to sell houses, make money, play golf, and go hunting and like do those things. However, when you become a broker and you're in charge of training and doing all that, well, you have to educate yourself constantly. So when I hired Wayne, I was just like, I'm going to be vulnerable and I'm going to say yes to pretty much any opportunity. So YPN came around. Now I'm going to be a Texas Realtor director next year. And it's like those things, they come to where if I was just an agent, I probably would have just said, no, I'd rather be on a golf course than going and doing those things.
Right.
But it's been exciting. It's opened the doors to learning and pushing myself to where I didn't think I would be in the rooms I'm in.
Yeah. So it's funny because like recruiting agents is not much different than how we teach agents to grow a sphere, right? Like be at places, meet people, shake hands, do things. It'll come up when it comes up, have the conversation. So it's just funny how many times we try and put the wrong steps in place to try and recruit. And we're just going to sit there and force it. And you can't really force recruiting if you want good people. You can force recruiting. You'll get people.
You can get butts and seats.
Yeah.
But
and here's my litmus test. Like there's a lot of people that say they want to start a brokerage, whatever it is, and most of them should not. My litmus test, and here's the thing that Tyler did that most other people don't do, is like he sat down and he did the work. And what I mean that is I'd be like, hey, write out your compensation, write out these three different, compensation options. And he would do the work. I was like, write out your mission, vision, values. And he would do the work. Right. And most people they're hiding from the unsexy work. And that's what he built the assets early on that he needed to build. We've tweaked him and adjusted him. He's got a lot from E5 and learning from you, Brad, of like sitting in a room. Brad's like, not going to work. You know what I mean? Like you better change that little thing. You know what I mean? But he listened, but he also did the hard work. You know what I mean? In the beginning, that's what most people don't do. They don't sit down and write out the operations manual and the values and the this and the all that stuff. So that's what I think has separated you from a lot of other people.
Yeah, and the sexy work is getting out in front of people, right? But yeah, making policies and procedures and all that. No, that's not fun. But once it's in place, it makes you breathe a heck of a lot easier.
Yeah. No doubt. So how have you been able to help your agents navigate this ever-changing market the last, let's call it a year and a half, maybe 2 years, like with the NAR stuff and, all the different intricacies that have been put in place?
So one, I take more classes and I educate myself more than my agents do.
Yeah.
And I am constantly consuming and surrounding myself with the people at our local association so that I know what could be coming or how they're handling it. That's one. And then two, it came from a broker boardroom with Dennis Tuttle. It's if you lead, they'll follow. And once I took that approach to where you just get out of the white noise, you educate, you make the decision, and you just tell them, hey, this is where we're going. I haven't had anybody really push back with that approach.
Yeah.
Here's what I want to know. We're on Untucked. So I want to know, what's the biggest F up you've made so far, either in real estate or in the brokerage?
In real estate, I'll say my first year as a broker, first probably 6 months as a broker, I failed at being good at tough conversations with one of my agents that led to me writing a check to avoid like an E&O hit. And that was, if I would have been more involved in the transaction or just more involved in coaching tough conversations on how to handle clients when clients don't want to listen. And it was a curtain debacle, which is really stupid, but they're fixtures here in Texas and they were gone. It was just a crazy story to where if I would have been more present in the transaction and then also coaching how to have those conversations while it was going on, it would have saved me 4 figures.
So what have you done around that to get better at that or avoid it in the future?
One, I try to bring it up and address it in most of our meetings when it comes to just how we're talking to clients and how we're handling them, reiterating like, hey, if you're getting stuck or if it doesn't pass the smell test, call me so that we can go in and do it. I like that most of my agents are good at problem solving, and then I can say, let's do it differently. But it's just more so getting in front of the agents and letting them know, hey, this is what I'm here for. And if I don't have the answer, I'm going to go get it type situation, to where that would have been my biggest financial screw up so far as a broker was that. Personally, I haven't had any deals fall out too bad that were caused by me yet. It's still
no stupid $20,000 checks. No, I mean, come on now.
I mean, I've had a rental. I've had a flip house that's been. Now it's been a rental for 3 years because the market turned on us and it's a crappy house that we should have never bought. But those are you live, you learn. You don't bat 100 on flip houses.
Yeah,
I've got one right now. I can't get rid of. I guess I could get rid of it. I'm not willing to just get rid of it.
Give you $40 straight up right now. $45. Twist my arm. Let's go.
An investment loss is not a loss until I sign on that CD and it says, yes, you lost.
Yeah, true.
Yeah, I think that was Kendra Todd talking about one she's had for 17 years or something. Like she's like, I've had this thing longer than I've had my kids, And yeah, she's like, it still isn't in the profit, I don't think.
So if you could, I always like to ask this question too. Like, if you could wave a magic wand and go back, would you do something differently in your brokerage or whatever to be in a different spot today?
I think I would have probably taken another 3 to 6 months of building out all of the assets before I ever brought on an agent. I kind of did it backwards. I scaled and then I got like 6 to 8 months in and I didn't have anything.
Yeah.
So I would have slowed down to build it all up. But when you get your license and you throw out the branding, you make your post, you get excited. And I would recommend, and I've had this conversation last week, I've had to tell people just pause, slow down before you go. Because next thing you know, you're 8, 9 months in and you're digging out of holes that you could have never been in.
True. That's a great part. So where do you see?
I have a list of like 29 assets that people should build out. So like if you're thinking about building your team, your brokerage, like take a look at that list of like, hey, here's the 29 assets. I know Tyler, you and I went through that back in the day. It was like, here's the 29 assets you really need to build out before you start anything. Yeah. And it's invaluable. Yeah.
And it's interesting when people start companies, oftentimes I found they have done it out of hastiness, right? Hastily. They've done it hastily. Hastiness a word too? Like tasty, but hasty. No?
Yes. Fasties.
Okay. So, or Swifty, which I might be. So my point is they run 1,000 miles an hour because they're trying to run from where they are because they made a brokerage change overnight and they don't have their policy manuals, their agent agreements and everything that's probably required by law. But also you can't put that genie back in the bottle. Like you cannot tell an agent once you have them, don't do it this way now. They're going to either leave, which is okay, or they're going to cause you a lot of heartburn, which is not okay.
Yeah, I agree. And I think a lot of the biggest misconception I'll say about owning a brokerage or being a broker is you look at where you're leaving, right? I was in a traditional, boutique brokerage. you look at what you've paid your previous broker and you're like, oh, I can just go do it on my own. I'm going to cut that expense out and instantly all that is going to go in my pocket. It is a lot more expensive to run a brokerage than it is to be at a brokerage as an
Hell
agent.
yeah.
And that was probably my biggest misconception. I was like, oh, easy. I'm going to do this. That expense goes away. And then next thing you know, you look at your tech stack, you look at your E&O, you look at everything else involved. You've got twice as many fees with your association in the state because you've got an LLC brokerage and your brokerage license, and it's a different animal.
So what would be some reasons you'd recommend people launching their own brokerage or not launching it?
I'd say if you're solely in it for just you, I don't think there's a point in opening a brokerage, right? If it's just solely, I'm just going to be the biggest thing, I don't think you're going to have any success. And the only reason I would say launch a brokerage is if you're at the point to where you want to go teach and pour into the agents and then build up a culture and a brand and go help people go make 100,000. But if you're in between and you're just like, because we've got like 3 or 4 brokerages here in Dallas Fort Worth that are just, hey, I got my brokerage license. I'm going to have a low monthly fee. I'm going to have 300 of them, and I'm going to make, good living a month and not really do there. And I think that's failing agents in that model, to be honest.
Yeah, I've got a huge soapbox on this one, and I've honestly I've talked people out of opening a brokerage more than talking in, but not just telling them not to do it, right? I don't think that's the way. Like, just don't do it. You don't make money in brokerages. That's true. But
That's
I
why
think
they're saying brokerage.
for sure, I think a couple of things come to mind when people want to open their own brokerage. One, who's going to run it? Because if you're trying to run your business and run a brokerage, something's going to fail, not fail or falter. And oftentimes it's not you or the brokerage, it's your home life or it's relationships. Also, what's your niche? Like, what is your niche? Whatever y'all call it in Texas. I call it niche because that's what I do as a man. Niche. Yeah, it's a niche. You got a niche, you got a niche, So same thing. My question is to them, like, how are you different? If you're going to be not you, Tyler, but like the people that want to open their brokerage, like if you're going to do the same thing that the company down the street's doing already with 400 agents, they've already figured that out. They've already dialed that in. They've already made it super smooth. And people would be better off going there. So I see so many people go, yeah, just like you were saying, I'm going to do this and I'm going to open this and I'm going to do this. I'm like, well, that's what ABC Realty is already doing. So why do that?
And if you think you're going to beat them on price, you're insane. If you think that you're going to be the cheapest, and like somebody's already at the bottom, right? There's already brokerages that are happy to lose money every day. So unless that's your goal, like not like if you're going to race to the bottom, not okay.
Yeah, I agree. And it took me, I mean, you guys have known me for over 2 years now, to where it's taken me seeing and realizing and being around the right people to be like, do I want to be what I thought I was going to be the day I started my brokerage? No. I've completely turned 180 into culture focused, strong agents. We're going to give the best experience and we are going to try to dominate our local market, and everything else doesn't matter. Yeah. To where I did think I was going to be, I'm going to be 100, 200 agents. It's going to be easy. And you get in it. I'm like, yeah, I would fail 150 of the agents.
Well, I also think the one big part is the people that want to open these companies actually don't know what the fuck they're doing, like in real estate, right? They're going to go open it, but they haven't taken like a census of the agents that know them and go, would you follow me if I open my own brokerage? And a lot of people are like, for sure. But they don't, because they're like, that guy doesn't know what the fuck he's doing.
That, or they do no continuing ed or try to do any business planning or coaching. It's pretty remarkable. I'm in a group on our local Facebook, and it's got about 300 to 400 agents in it. And when it comes to trainings, whether it's at a title company put on by a lender or all the associations, out of that one group, there's maybe the same 6 people that will actually show up and put in the work. And they are the ones who are in the top 1% of our market. And the rest of them are the ones who get on there and just complain the whole time.
Yeah. Well, people I don't have time. Remarkable. That's like trying to go run a race without putting your shoes on. People are like, I'm too busy. It's like, so they try to run the race without tying their shoes. It's like, this is crazy.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think our industry, especially the ones who are like, oh yeah, I'm going to jump into it. If you don't put in the work to surround yourself with the right people, there's no point in doing it. You're just going to lose money. And
Yeah. And I think also we don't put enough effort in, like, the old saying, like, you can't beat up your dad, like the whole thing. Like, I don't know if y'all ever heard that. Maybe it's a Southern thing. I know y'all aren't in the South down in Texas, but
I've
just kidding. You never heard that
heard
one?
it.
No.
Maybe it's like
I
where you're
know.
from. I don't know. But
I've been bigger than my
Yeah,
dad
is that
since
like
15, and he could still
run
probably
away
take-
from run away from the puck? Like go be like I don't know. I need more hockey analogies to really set in.
you can't catch the puck without a glove. I think that's what we're going to go with. And so my point is, I challenge myself every single day that, like, I have to know the answers to just about everything, because as soon as I don't, let me rephrase that. I don't have to know every answer to the real estate, but I need to know either how to get the answers or have the answers, because as soon as I lose that in my agents, then the whole house of cards can come tumbling down, because I'm no longer the person in charge that can be the leader. And so it's always a challenge, like you said, be at all the events, get the designations, pay attention to those town hall emails and everything that you get from your state association about law changes, and be a problem solver. So it's a challenge, and a lot of people don't do that. They try and dish it off to, like, their friend's sister that's going to be their operations manager, and you're going to go deal with her, and it just doesn't do well.
Yeah. I truly don't understand it, because and it could be because I came from the non-real estate industry before.
Yeah.
And it's always better to say, hey, I'll go get you the answer, give me 5 minutes, than be like, oh, I have no idea what I'm going to talk about, but I'm going to act like I do.
Yep.
And I agree with you.
And that goes back to what you were saying in the beginning, Brad. And I think this is such an interesting question that Bettina brought up at our last Fight Club. It's like, what do you want to think about every day? And I think, like, you're not the right person to go open a brokerage if you don't want to think about that kind of stuff all day. How can I serve? How can I get better? How can I improve? So it goes back to what we talked about, that is like, know thyself, meaning if growth and contribution are not two of your top driving forces, you're probably not the person to go open a brokerage, right?
Right.
If uncertainty and significance is your top two, cool. You probably should do something else, right? So part of this is like, know thyself. And you guys, both of you, like, growth and contribution and impact are huge for you. And that's why the money's shown up. But you didn't do it for the money. The money showed up because you're doing it for the right reason. And it's in alignment with what actually drives you. So Tyler, let me ask you one different question to take a different direction for a second. If you're willing to share, what's the thing right now that if you don't adjust it, you'll have regret at the end of this next year? Like, for you within the business or yourself, like, what's the thing right now that you're working on to adjust or change that if you don't get that changed, you'll be pissed off a year from now?
It's a tough one. I think if I don't offload some of this kind of goes back to our call earlier today, I need to be able to offload some of my day-to-day task so that I can show up in a more consistent and intentional way for some of my agents. So if I don't offload or have a true assistant by the end of 2025, then there's going to be conversations that I failed at in 2025. Because
what I heard you say was by the end of January. Did you hear that, Brad? I heard by the end of this January.
End of 2025. Fuck off.
Yeah, I was like, whoa, God, what are we, like, holy cow, let's just suck for a year is what I heard. Yeah, no, okay.
Yeah. I was just trying to answer it. But yeah.
Yeah, you're close. Sorry, Coach Wayne started freaking out there for a second. I started switching. Yeah. Cool. No, I think absolutely. So there's no pride in doing something that someone else could do better that would allow me to go do what I'm best at.
So I want to not switch gears, but kind of build on that, since you're saying you need to offload stuff. So by offloading that stuff, let's talk about being a parent and being in real estate. Not necessarily owning a brokerage, but being a parent, because I can look back 18 years ago and I got a lot of different decisions to make. So I deal with a lot of agents in this age range. What would be some advice you would give to new or planning to become parents at some point in their real estate career?
So one, this is something that I still struggle with every day. It's not easy to be in our industry and be a parent and be there and all answering your phone. I don't think it's easy. I've met and I got to work with an agent who did it the best that I know. I helped her open a brokerage, but she literally, her schedule, like, all of your kids, I believe, need to be on your calendar first, and your work calendar goes around it. And I will say I have not been able to do that 100%, but I've been able to watch an agent who is my age, who has twice as many kids as me, and she is able to go to the practices, go to the school events, go everywhere. And through showing up and being present, it has got all of the business in her kids, like in their sphere, to where she is. If you look at, we've got like 50,000 agents here in DFW. She is a top 200 agent in volume. And it's solely, she doesn't door knock, doesn't cold call. It's because she puts her kids first and she is at everything. And the other parents are like, damn, you can show up in all of this and still be amazing at this and serve people at a high level. We're going to use you. And so that would be my best advice, is to put the kids schedule on your calendar first and work around it, and just be honest with your clients. If you got to move something 30 minutes to an hour to be able to show up for your kids, they're going to respect you more. And if they're like, oh, screw your kids, they're not the clients you want.
Well, I would disagree with a little distinction, meaning like I'm gonna get the kid stuff and the work stuff, and then like get intentional about putting it on there, right? And maybe a kid thing isn't gonna work, and you have to say no to that, or a work thing isn't gonna work, you have to say no to that, right? But like you're saying, like put it on there and then see, does this work, instead of like I'm gonna work these hours and try to squeeze the kids in, or I'm gonna do this stuff with the kids and then try to squeeze work in. It's like, no, let's like take a step back and put it on there, put the vacations on there, put the kid stuff on there, and then get clear on what your key work activities are and put them on there. And people are like, well, what if it doesn't all fit? Yeah, that's the freaking point, right? It's like, oh shit, it doesn't all fit. So don't go do that for 2 years and be pissed off at yourself or yelling at the kids. Like, if it doesn't fit, we got to go back and rework it, remold it. You know what I mean? Maybe you need 2 wives. I don't know, right? Like you got to figure it out. Well, it's probably not the answer, right? But like you got to go back and do something. But if your business plan is hey, 4 open houses a week and you got 3 kids in sports, ain't gonna work, right? And that's an extreme example, but that's what most people are in essence trying to do. And like you said, it's take a step back and dial it different, put that stuff in there.
And I think if it's on there, it allows you to pivot. It allows you to say, okay, like you said, this one's not going to work out. We're going to replace it with this. But if nothing's on there, you're filling holes that aren't really holes. There's stuff there. And then for me, I've been in a business meeting and completely forgot my kid's first day of school, didn't ask one thing about it. So like,
it's not important. That
was a fire for a few months.
Yeah.
But that's where it has to be on there, because if it's not, it's going to be like, oh, I had no idea. Because it's easy just to put your head down and go, at least for me.
Well, that's the struggle, right? You feel like you have to put your head down to go to provide for said family so they can go to the first day of school with a backpack. And so you have to like weave this web. And I know I did, and I don't know about y'all, but like I used to hide behind that and be like, hey, you got the kids, I'm making money. And I don't know, not to get too deep, but it'll fuck you up. And so I agree with you that putting on your calendar is great. And some of the most, just like this lady you're talking about, Tyler, some of the most efficient and smart people do more with 4 hours than I would do with 12. It's just how it works. But it goes back to calendar, and it goes back to having somebody to offload. I bet that lady has somebody that she can offload to pick up some of the stuff that's not going to make her the most use of her money.
Yeah, they have a good team surrounding it. And it just comes down to acknowledging it, putting it down. But yeah, I'm guilty as well of just being like, hey, I'm running 100 miles an hour so you can do X. It's not really a fun conversation.
Well, it just goes back to the simple thing of like sharpen your axe, like sharpen your axe before you try to cut it. And I know that's overly simplistic, but it really is 30 minutes of work on the front of your week will save you hours and hours throughout the week. And it's that whole like finish it on paper. What does the executive should say? Like finish your week on paper before you start it. And there's a lot of truth to that.
Yeah. Yeah. No, 100%. So Tyler, we've got a lot of agents that are thinking about getting out of the industry more so than normal, just with the way that the economy's going and NAR settlements and fees and everything else. If somebody came into your office today and was like, hey, I think I'm getting out of the business, but you don't think they should, what are some things that maybe you could recommend to them, or you would maybe try and help them with to, give it another go? Or do you just take old Yeller behind the barn and put them down?
I think you can do both, right? I think there's some that you have to say, hey, where have you been the last 12 months and what have you done? And if they haven't done anything and they're still surprised that they don't have any business, then I think it's time to potentially old Yeller them. And then 2, if you see somebody who, I've got an agent who the other day, it's just like scrambling. It's like, hey, I'm about to pay for this type of coaching or this and that. And it's going and saying, okay, well, I don't think you need to do that. Let's just have more intentional one-on-one conversations or go look at this and this, and they're willing to help, then the business is going to turn on, right? Like our business, at least here in DFW, is about 180 days out from the time you put your head down and you work whatever sphere you're going to work. You usually get a deal in 180 days. So I don't feel like in our market there's a magic wand, but I look at it as two approaches. If I have somebody who's willing to just say, I'm willing to invest in themselves through whatever it is, coaching, CE classes, and they're showing up and I can call them and they're like, yep, I'll do an open house. Yes, I'll show, and they're motivated. My conversation with them is a lot different than an agent who comes to me and is like, hey, how can I get a listing tomorrow?
Right.
Well, you should have probably asked me that 6 months ago and done something. Or so I think you have to do both.
Yeah. Do you think
But
hard
how was
work?
your answer?
Well, the question I'm going to ask you is like, do you think hard work can always trump preparation? Right?
No.
Yeah, I don't know the answer to that one. I was just curious what you thought.
I think I fully believe, like, at least what my business is, and I think a lot of y'all's is, you have to be consistently present in whatever your sphere is and be the go-to person for real estate or whatever you're doing, because the people who you surround yourself with, if everybody I am around with, they know what I do. They know I don't have to go in and say it. I don't have to wear a shirt that says realtor, buy a house from me or anything. They're going to just be like, hey, this is the guy. He shows up. I'm going to ask you. And it starts on at a personal level and in person. It starts on social media, but it's just being consistent and present. And if you're not the most prepared, surround yourself with people who are.
Yeah. Yeah. To answer your question back to me, what I would recommend to an agent that is thinking about getting out of business, or maybe it's just not getting the business they want. I've kind of come up with a thing called the Phoenix program, where it's like the Phoenix rising from the ashes kind of thing. And it's back to basic boot camp hard work, but that hard work will turn into something if it's intentional. So, I mean, it's a lot, but it's one of those things like if you want to restart losing weight or getting in shape, those first couple of weeks are monsters, right? Like you're tired, your bones hurt 24/7, you want to quit, you're not doing enough, you're not drinking enough water, all this stuff. So I look at it the same way. And so the Phoenix program for us is like, one, you have to have 3 groups that you're going to be a part of in the next 3 months. And it could be, as simple as a BNI group, a chamber group, church, hockey, whatever, CrossFit, I don't care. But you've got to get into 3 groups that you find are part of your lifestyle. Because if I try to go join a pickup hockey league, right? I can't skate, right? Like that's not going to go well. I'm not going to go back. And plus they're going to put me as goalie for sure. I'm always stuck as a goalie. But also they got to do those things. So what are they doing then? So then they have to have 3 intentional meetings a week with somebody. And it's real interesting when you say you have to meet with somebody. I don't care if they're going to buy a house or not buy a house, but you have to be intentional. And your conversation needs to turn out some way. And what I mean by that is, are you going to be deeper friends? Is there a business relationship you can have with them? Like, do they own a candy shop? Could you find a way to send them business to get business from them? Can you have a deeper relationship? But also I want you to send, it gets deep. It's like 5 handwritten notes a week. It's, if you did we don't do open houses, but it would probably be something to do with open houses. And it would be this many social media posts, this many likes on social media. Did you work out this week? How many times did you work out this week? How many times did you read? How much quiet time have you had? And it's really kind of resetting their mindset to the point where like good. It's got to reset their whole body, because they got to get out of the funk. And when I feel like when people aren't selling something, they're in a funk and they feel like no matter what they do, it's not going to help. But we know that if we can get them moving, the blood flows. And then I tell them, and they have to track it all, by the way, but at the end of 3 months, and this is all voluntary, by the way, I don't make people do this, but at the end of 3 months, they're going to be spinning and they're going to have more business hopefully coming at them. And then my job for them is to keep it going without as much work, but to keep that fire fed. And now they've started to identify things because they've done so much. Like, if I just do half of this, I'm good. And that's where I want to get them to. Because if you give them 2 things, they're going to do 1 and they're still not going to get the same result. So it's like, if you're really in, it's like, what is that Biggest Loser used to be back on NBC? Like those super big people. And they like make them lose weight. I always felt better after watching that. But my point, my brother watches that 600-pound Life, and he's like, dude, every time I watch it, I'm hungry. And like, I'm sitting up eating Cheerios late at night. He's like, actually, I gain weight watching that. I don't understand. So is that just me and my family, I guess?
That program sounds phenomenal.
But it's just, I mean, it's nothing. I mean, it's
Drop a
partially
link.
like Wayne's taught us. It's partially like what we've gone through, but it's also challenging them. It's like, do you want to be like the 75 hard, right? Do you want to be challenged beyond your hardest desires? And how much do you want this? You know what's happened half the time? The agents that have come to me, they quit like the business. Cause you're like, you know what? Fuck it. I don't want to do this shit. And I'm like, I don't blame you. I don't blame you. But it lets them know.
That's good stuff right there.
Wayne, what do you got to add to that?
I need that program in my business.
Yeah, I'll share it with you. And if anybody else wants to, just DM us on the show notes and I'll shoot it over to you.
Yeah. And I think a lot of it just goes back to, man, when you're unclear, it is so hard to move. But I think, Brad, the gift you give your agents is like, do this and this. And like, don't worry about starting a blog. Don't worry about this. Like, don't worry about all the other stuff. Just do this and this. And a lot of us are like, we're like racehorses, right? Like we kind of need the blinders put on and just point us in the right direction, and we'll do better with that. So I think make it, for agents that are failing, it's like, make it simple, make it simple, not easy, but simple and clear, and just go get your at bats. And it takes a lot to get a plane off the ground. It takes a lot to get a rocket in the air, right? So in the beginning, you got to put extra, effort into that, and it will pay off. And the nice thing about Brad's organization and your stuff is like, you've got the data to back it up, right? Like you can go to the numbers and go, look, you talk to 500 people, you're going to get X amount of deals on average, right? So just go do the work.
And I think the biggest part, just to piggyback on what I was saying, is they have to, I'm not carrying their backpack. I used to take it personally when somebody would fail out of real estate and be like, they're not going to fail out of my company. They're going to be successful. Yeah, there's some people that don't need to be in real estate, but I can't do the work for them. And I used to get so upset because I wanted it more for them. So by giving them as a team lead or whatever broker, it's like, yeah, check the box, don't check the box. That's up to you. But like, it's very clear on who is failing and who's not. It's not me. It's you. And that's
like, talk to 10 people a day. Ask 10 people a day if they want to buy or sell real estate. I had a guy, and I remember I was in Virginia somewhere, in Richmond, I think. And there was this one guy who's like convinced he couldn't find 10 people a day to talk to. So he said, go to a gas station every morning and walk around to the other 8 pumps. And that's literally what it is. You go to a gas station, you pull up to one of the pumps, you get $1 of gas or whatever it was, and you walk around the other 8 pumps, and you go like, I'm in this class, and I promised my coach I'd ask 10 people a day if they want to buy, sell, or invest in real estate. And you just walk around the pumps and then get back in his car and go to the office, right? Dang it, if you didn't know, like 4 or 6 weeks later, the guy's bringing in truckloads of business because of the gas pace and gas station. And he was getting it done by 8:30 every morning. Like, it wasn't taking him all day. It was like 15 minutes on the way to the office. He'd ask 8 people, where are they going to go? Like, they're stuck there at the pump, pouring gas. Like, they ain't going anywhere. And he just go like, I'm in this competition. I got 8 people a day. Who do you know? And he got business, So like, go freaking do the work, and don't get lost in the, I don't know. There's so many people right now that are like, I don't know. And it's like, you probably do. Like, you might not like it, but you do know, right? It's like, go find 100 people. They're like, I can't do that. Go to the mall. Like, go to the gas station. Figure it out. Some people need to go do 30. We had guys up north. They did 30 open houses in 30 days. People are like, that sounds hard. Yeah, it's hard. Go freaking do it. Like, if you want it, like, go do 30 open houses in 30 days. And guess what? They got real good at it.
Yeah.
And they started doing 3 on one day and 2 on another, right? But you figure it out. So just make the commitment, and then make it simple enough that you can actually execute on it. Usually we make a commitment and we make the plan so freaking complicated, it would take a team of astronauts to figure out how to do the thing. Simple.
So I got a question. I actually want y'all's opinion on this. Typically I don't. I just say I do, and then I just kind of file it away. But this is true. So like we've talked about with recruiting, I'm about attraction, right? Like, I want to attract people. I'm tired of calling people and getting stood up and getting that. But I've also created a kind of a mental block for myself when it comes to it. And I feel like our company has created a aura that we don't like new people in our company, right? Like, we're kind of elitist, if you will. So I'm thinking about doing 100 coffees in 100 days with potential agents. The question is, how many do you think I will hire or will agree to come work with us? I don't know if I want any of them. I mean, I do, but my point is, I was just saying I don't like making those calls. So I think I'm going to make those calls, because I think if I don't start putting momentum out there in the world and telling the world that I'm looking for agents that I like, know, trust, that I'm not going to happen. So I'm going to rip that Band-Aid off, just like the Phoenix project I was talking about, and go, you know what? Fuck it. 100 calls, 100 coffees in 100 days. What do you think my pull-through rate would be?
I mean, I would think it should be more than 3, but maybe 3 that you want.
Right.
Where are you going to find the 100?
I'm calling. We only have 4,500 agents in the main market that I'm in. So it's not a lot of people in our market. So yeah,
I bet if you did 30 and 30, you'd pull 5 or 6.
If I did 30 and 30 coffees in 30 days, I'd pull 5 or 6.
Yep.
So you think
And maybe that'd be like a challenge to do like between now and Christmas, something like 30 coffees in 30 days. You can do 3 coffees some days, 4 coffees one days, and some days no. But I'd do 30 coffees in 30 days, and I bet you'd pull 5 or 6. Maybe not immediately, but I bet within 3 months you'd have 5 or 6, because some of them need a month or 2 or whatever, transition process, everything else. But yeah,
curious. I don't know. I don't know if I really want. Man, I kind of want to do it just to see what my pull through weight is. Kind of like it's kind of like when you're like going on.
What do you need to know before you make the decision?
Do I want to do it?
Are you just looking for a measurable?
Well, I'm curious. I think I'm almost positive I'm going to do it. Like actually, fuck that. I'm going to do it. Let's just do that. I'm going to do it. I'll do.
When's it going to start?
I'll do 30 in the month of December, and I'll track every single one. I still may extend it to February, but I want to bring in 20 more people to this office in my brokerage this year, this Columbia market. So I think it's a good way to get my wheels spinning, because I can't talk myself out of it. But I will start today to start lining them up because it's about to be Thanksgiving, right? When this come out after Thanksgiving. But so I want to play a game then. Let's keep playing this game real quick. This is not about me, although it sounded like it. So Wayne and Tyler, if you had to go recruit somebody and decently cold call them, how would you approach that
I'm thinking 30 Zooms in 30 days. I'm thinking that I need to like offer up some 15, 20 minute, like what would you call those? Like swam bam coaching calls? Like, yeah, I'm going to do 30 Zooms in 30 days, and we jump on and help you with whatever you need. And I bet 5 or 6 of those would say, you know what, hell, let's do this more.
For coaching or recruiting?
For coaching.
Yeah.
I mean, I kind of want to match you on the 30 and 30 and see if I can do it. I was already through Wayne as one. I haven't really gone out and told people in our market, other than like really select few that I've met with, that, hey, this is who we are and this is why you would come here. Like, I haven't really put out content to say, hey, I am looking for agents who are looking for this, and this is what we do. So, I mean, it would be a challenge. Wayne is writing this down because he's going to call me on Monday.
No, I'm putting 30 marbles in one jar. So I got to have all these marbles moved by Christmas, because I'm not working the week after Christmas. Your kids are going to come in for sure.
I'm going to pay your kids to fuck that
these
up.
These are my marbles. They steal them from me all the time.
Are these are my marbles. Or marbles?
They're bouncy marbles, because on Zoom calls they're quiet. I used to do this analogy with
You mean they're bouncy balls?
I mean they're bouncy balls. But you know what, Brad, Allen? You know what? Whatever you want to call them.
All right, so we just said it. We just said
15.
Wayne's going to have 30 coaching calls 20. In 30 days. Tyler, you're going to have 30 recruiting appointments, coffees.
Yeah,
and I think coffee can be loose, right? So like it can be just a meeting. It doesn't have to. I mean, shit, I might be over caffeinated by Tuesday. Such quiet balls.
Yeah, so I got to do 30 of these by Christmas. 30 Zooms in 30 days.
Okay.
All right.
We got to track them, and we're going to report back.
Yeah.
And the last thing I'll say about this, the reason I did this, I met with a lady last week. I've been trying to get in front of her for 6 months. She's a producer. She's lovely. She's our ideal demographic. And we met because I was out of town. I was in Texas. And she's like, hey, I literally just moved brokerages after 5 years. Had I talked to you on Monday, I would have come over to you. But since I already moved, I'm going to stay there for a while. And I hadn't had the conversation with her because I just didn't put the effort out. So I know everybody listening to this can feel that same torture. So I'm taking it upon myself to change.
One of my clients last week, we're on a coaching call, and he goes, I should really do some recruiting. I was like, hey, who should you call? He goes, so this one lady I've been thinking. I was like, cool, call right now. We're on Zoom. I go, call right now. Picks up the phone, calls her, and I was like, let's just do it, right? And she answers. She goes, oh, I'm so glad you answered. Did you get my message I sent, or did you get the email I sent you a couple weeks ago? And he's like, yeah, I've been thinking about joining your company, but I was about to go interview somewhere else because I thought maybe you didn't want me.
Snap.
Thank God we pulled the Hail Mary, and like she was right there. You know what I mean? But like, had we not done that right then in that moment, right? And they met. She joined the team, right? Just take some action.
Damn.
That's it. I mean, Brad, that's happened to me a couple times to where I was in the indecision, like, should I do this? And then you get the post on Facebook, and I'm like, damn, I would have been in that conversation pretty easily.
Yeah. Well, I know everybody's time is important except for Wayne's. So, Tyler, I want to thank you for doing this, sharing what you shared. And honestly, I think we should set our clocks. And in 30 days, the first one of the new year, the three of us back on this podcast, and we're going to report back what happened, what worked, what didn't work.
I like it.
And
all right,
let's put our money where our mouth is. But as always, Tyler, you're a pleasure, dude. You really are. You're a rock star. I want to see some candy next time I come down there, by the way.
All right. And thank you guys for just including me on the podcast. This was a lot of fun. So appreciate learning from both of you.
Awesome. Thanks, dude.
And I got candy for you.
We'll leave it with that.